Dictionary.com defines threshold as the point at which a stimulus is of sufficient intensity to begin to produce an effect. Some other words for threshold could be door, edge, entrance, or gate. So the idea behind a threshold is that you're going from one place to another place, and the threshold is the doorway into that new place. Kind of like the wardrobe that leads to Narnia, or platform in 9 3/4 that leads to Hogwarts. There are two important physiological thresholds every cyclist needs to know to optimize their training and performance. These are called your ventilatory thresholds. Ventilatory just means the process of getting air to the lungs. So let's imagine a nice little house with 3 different rooms, each connected by a door. Each room is a different zone within your ventilatory system, and the doorways are the thresholds. So we have 3 zones and 2 thresholds. When you go from one room to another, you are passing through these thresholds and entering a new realm of ventilatory experience. We could call the first room Zone 1. This room has a lot of windows and is pretty nice. It's a good place to be, and you could spend all day just hanging out in this room with no problem at all. We like it here. In cycling terms, this would be your endurance riding zone. A nice pace that you could sustain all day and could even do so while talking to your buddy who's riding next to you the whole time. We could do this all day. We could call the second room in our little house Zone 2. This room is a little darker and isn't as pleasant as the first room. We could hang out here for a little while, maybe a couple hours, but really wouldn't want to. In cycling terms, this is tempo and threshold focused workouts or rides. You can spend a lot of time riding at these intensity levels, but it's a bit painful. You could also call this room the quiet room because this is also the point at which you can't hold a conversation with your buddy anymore. The door connecting these 2 rooms is your first ventilatory threshold, or VT1 for short. When you go through this door, you are leaving one room and entering the next, going from Zone 1 to Zone 2. This threshold is often referred to as your aerobic threshold and is when blood lactate levels begin to rise. So, when you're riding in Zone 1, your blood lactate levels will remain at a baseline level, not increasing. Once you hit your aerobic threshold and move into Zone 2, your blood lactate levels will increase beyond the baseline but remain manageable. And last but not least, the third room in our house, Zone 3. There are no windows in this room. It's hot, it's smelly, and it's pretty dark in general. This might as well be a dungeon or even a torture chamber because no one can spend more than a few minutes in this room at a time. This room is so unbearably painful that as soon as you get into it, you want to leave. In fact, this room makes you want to sprint back to Zone 1 in the house to get some fresh air. But at the same time, we really like this room for some odd reason. We always find ourselves coming back to it, even if for short periods of time. The doorway to enter the third room is called the second ventilatory threshold, or VT2 for short. When we go through VT2, we enter Zone 3. In cycling terms, when we go over our VT2, we are now training our anaerobic energy systems. This is when the effort level is near its max and very unsustainable. VT2 can be characterized by a gasping for air sensation. VT2 is commonly referred to as anaerobic threshold, lactate threshold, and functional threshold power, or FTP for short. This is when your blood lactate levels increase dramatically and you can really feel the burn. So when you're riding in Zone 2, your blood lactate levels are increasing, but your body can manage it. And once you hit your VT2 or your anaerobic threshold, your blood lactate levels are increasing at an unsustainable rate, meaning it's only a matter of time before fatigue forces you to stop the effort. Understanding the science behind these two thresholds will help you to create a training plan that incorporates the right amount of training in each of these three zones. According to the science, a polarized or pyramidal approach to training is the best approach for optimum performance, but that's a topic for another video.